The root of all our worries, disquietudes, and confusions are always in the separate self, the idea that I am a being that is doing something. And so in today's meditation, I want to narrow down this sensation of the doer, which again belongs to the separate self. We first need to feel that we are a separate being, an individual in a world that is responsible for action, for doing, for thinking. And so this doing is what we call the doer. It's just another word to refer to the separate self. This belief is very strong and convincing in our lives because we have been trained to see ourselves that way. We have been conditioned to feel as a separate being, someone who needs to learn and be accountable for everything that happens and does, and so on. In this channel, we're interested in self-inquiry as the way in which we reveal the nature of our being, thus reality. Because reality is a function of self. Take this moment and begin by realizing that what we call I, is the center of all reality. In other words, there is no absence of you and a reality. There is no such proof in your experience that you can be absent and reality still exists. Your experience has always included you. Who is this I that you refer to as myself, in which all reality happens? Bring your attention to that which you refer to when you say I. Where do you check when you question, who am I? Or am I being right now? How do you know? What did you check? What is your proof of being? No thought can reach there because thought is simply a label. Notice that. And yet there is a tangible, truthful reality of being, which is what you refer to as I. Let go of every single thought and concept and stay with this I, this feeling of being. You will realize that thinking still happens, and it's happening in you. In other words, I is the host for thinking. I is the field in which thought appears. We're not conceptualizing anything, we're looking at our direct experience. Thinking happens in the field that I call I. It's very simple. Realize that without complexity. Realize that it's obvious that thinking happens in me. Not outside of me, but inside of me. Your mind may be struggling to describe and define and say, rationalize this, that It is obvious. I know that. Perfect. That's what we need. No objection. In which moment does this doer or thinker appears? First, there must be a thought or an action. And always afterwards is the thinking, I did this. I thought about that. I moved this way. Or the doer may appear before an action and say, I am going to do this. It is always prior and after action, but never in the present moment. When you look for it, it's not there. There's just happening. No doing. Doing requires a doer. Where is this doer? Where is the thinker? If the thinker existed, use your direct experience right now to control thinking. It stands to reason that if there is a thinker and it is the owner, the author of thinking, then thought should be controlled, suppressed, avoided, maintained. Where is the proof of this capacity? Why is the thinker, if it exists, useless and incapable of controlling, maintaining, avoiding, suppressing, thinking? Without this capacity, there is no thinker. That is the proof, or another proof, that the thinker and the doer are only in our imagination before and after action. There's one way you can see how this thinker and doer creates itself and then it dissolves itself. Up until now, as you listen to my voice, it's very likely that you have been unaware of your breathing. And just this moment, when I mention it, your attention is going to your breathing. And you feel that you are now in control of your breathing. You are the breather. You are the one breathing right now. What will happen in a couple of minutes when your attention goes somewhere else? Will breathing stop? If you are the breather, then breathing should stop. And it doesn't. What does this reveal? It shows that only when attention goes into an activity, whether that be thinking or physical motion, is where the doer can arise. If our attention is going constantly to thinking, how can we not be convinced of the belief that I am the one thinking? Likewise, what happens if, just like when you become disinterested or your attention moves away from breathing, and yet breathing still happens? What would happen if your attention moves away from thinking or thoughts into being, into yourself, which is not a thought, which is not thinking? Where will the doer go, if not disappear, just like the breather disappeared? This is our practice, is to dissolve the attention that we find is constantly going into thinking, thought, 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 worry, 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 and redirect that attention into that which is not a thought, and yet ever present and necessary for all thinking to appear. The space, the field that we call I, is not a thought. And it is what we call I. Not the thinker, not the doer. What happens to your sense of being when attention is not moving constantly to thinking, but resting in its own source? Because you are the source of attention. Only you can attend experience. You is that which narrows into attention, into thinking, therefore creating the illusion of the thinker, therefore the doer, just like the breather. Explore continuously what it is to be disinterested from thinking, allowing attention to rest immediately. The moment you become disinterested from thinking, just like you become disinterested from breathing, and breathing still happens, thinking still happens, but your attention is not there. It's resting in yourself. The real field in which everything appears and everything happens. The real you. The one self, impersonal, unlimited, unmoved, ever present. Let thinking happen. You're not doing it. Just like breathing is happening, you're not breathing. You're not responsible for inhalation, exhalation. Thinking is not a problem, just like breathing is not a problem. Instead, bring your attention to that which is experiencing absolutely everything and cannot be absent. It experiences breathing and it experiences thinking. The common name that we use for that is I, the host of all experience, the field in which everything appears and disappears. And yet, I never appear nor disappear. You are not the thinker. You are not the doer. You are this ever-present, unmoved, and unchanged awareness, self, or simply being. Let your attention rest there.